Stereotypes. We as humans create them unconsciously, sometimes consciously, as part of being human. It helps us understand things, it helps us put things into categories. And it's not just things, it's people, it's situations, it's certain groups of people. We put them into neat little categories to understand them. This is how actors are typecast. If somebody's good at something in particular, or if somebody fits a certain look, they're stereotyped into a certain sort of role. And it's not obviously limited to actors or people. Deities are no exception to this, and spirituality. Now, if you say the word witch, that can bring up a lot of different stereotypes, depending on who you are and depending on what your beliefs are. You say witch to certain religious people, they'll think it's a supernatural being, a monster even. Some people will believe it's wicked people, Satanists, even Satanists has many stereotypes. Some people will believe, it's like a cute cottagecore thing. No, that's just an example of a stereotype. Now today I'm going to be talking about Lilith, and that's at her behest, because as deities go, she is stereotyped in many different ways. We're going to be breaking down some of these common stereotypes and how she isn't just that. Some of this will be my UPG, some of it will be shared with others, but let's get into it. Alright, now, if you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. I am Sarah, that divination witch. This channel is a community and safe space, meaning that you can ask questions and we can have debates, but we keep it civil. We don't tolerate crap here, alright? If you want to join, hit subscribe, it's free. And if you want to help me continue to make videos, support the channel, get a reading from me, all of my stuff's below. Yeah, I do offer readings. I've got a website, a shop, all of that. I've also got Patreon teaching on there. We've got a path working going on. We've got a community. There's loads to do. Yeah, please have a look. Thanks. Okay, so Lilith. She's a complex being in and of herself anyways. Lilith, as she is known as Lilith, I suppose does stem from Judaism, but she isn't limited to that. She predates Judaism. But as the name Lilith, she was famously the first wife of Adam, a woman created equal from clay, the same way Adam was created, according to this myth, of course. And she wouldn't bow to him and therefore was demonized, fled the Garden of Eden and became mother of demons and all of this. There's certain connotations with that. But she predates that because there are other spirits from Babylonian times and beyond, Mesopotamia, Sumeria, that are linked with that, with her stories, with her archetype. When Lilith was demonized and named Mother of Demons, it was said that she was an unaliver of children, and she fit the role similar to a being called Lamashtu. Now, Lamashtu is an ancient goddess / demoness in her own right, who was the personification of, children that are lost in birth. Let's say it like that, because that, unfortunately, is something that still happens today. And in ancient times especially, what other explanation did you have for something so tragic? Sadly, there are beings and deities that rule over such things that are not nice. And Lamashtu is one such being, and it is said that she is fierce. She was a law unto her own. She didn't really answer to anybody. Her famous rival, was Pisazu, who ironically is also known as a demon, and I believe he is mentioned in the Ars Goetia as well. People still know that name today. But Pisazu ruled over different things, and although they're both demonic, you could say, they were pitted against each other. But the Lilith too were a bit different to Lamashtu. They were spirits of the underworld. The Lilith too were kind of like how the Greeks would say there were nymphs, the lampards are the underworld nymphs, but you've got oceanids and dryads and stuff like this, depending on the environment. So the Lilith too are like the underworld spirits. There were many of them, and there were a male version as well. There were male and females. And then you had emissaries of different goddesses. I'm no historian here, okay, but from my knowledge, depending on the city you lived in, the area of the world you lived in, you may have a tutelary or a patron god or goddess, and they had, let's say, lesser gods and goddesses that did work for them, like messengers. Again, let's compare it to the Greeks with messenger gods like Iris, and even Hermes is technically a messenger. So it was that kind of vibe. And there were the Ardat Lily, who were those types of deities. Now, if you do want a history lesson, let me look behind me. This book is good. Now, look, I'll be honest. Michael W. Ford, I don't know you personally, and this is not personal against you. Your book here is really good, okay? It is, in my opinion, more historical. Yes, I think what I remember when I last read it, there were some rituals in the back, but I didn't follow it. There's some stuff that Michael W. Ford believes that I don't agree with, but I've got nothing against him. I don't know him. All right? I'm very wary of shouting people out now, especially Left Hand Path, which Michael W. Ford is Left Hand Path. I will give him that. He's been prevalent for years and years, and he's done a lot of hard work. And he's got his own YouTube if you want to connect. But this book is really good to learn, and it's not that expensive, this one. Yes, I've got other books on Lilith. I've got so many books on Lilith now, which I can make a video at some point. I'm very wary about it, but this explains the history, okay? And he really delved into stuff, so this really helps you understand the history of Lilith. She's not just a Jewish spirit, all right? Now, I'm saying all of this to you, though, because that's a stereotype in itself. The first stereotype of Lilith is that that's all she is. The Jewish myth, the myth in the alphabet of Ben Sirah, in the Babylonian Talmud, that I believe those are the two books that myth is in. It's not even in the Torah. It's not in the Bible. It's not canonical in that regard. She's like an urban legend in that way. And because of traditions that came before Judaism, that had like the likes of Lamashtu, which is why I mentioned all of that, spirits that ruled over that sad phenomena that does happen. Judaism had their own way of explaining that, let's say. And there were amulets and spells to ward off Lilith. Lilith was seen as a bad thing. So the first stereotype about her is the fact that she is just the Garden of Eden woman. She's not. She can rule over that, and she does. From my personal experience, she does. But that doesn't mean she causes it, and it doesn't mean she likes it, because deities in general, and I always use Apollo as the example, but before recent times with the rise of religion and polarization, what they rule over, they also rule over the opposite. So a god that can heal can also kill and create disease. Apollo does that, as an example. Even angels that are classed as angels can also be classed as demons. Uriel is an example of that. Look that up. So Lilith rules over the unaliving of children, unfortunately, but she also rules over the life of children, if you see what I mean. Now, this is my UPG, from my experience, from my path and my life with her. Others have said a similar thing, but hey ho. From my experience, there are certain deities, she's one of them, the Mashtu I suppose will be another, that rule over death of new souls, let's say. So when you are to reincarnate, you this might be your first life, it might be your 50th life, obviously this depends on what you believe, okay? This is just my belief and what she's shown me and what I've discussed with others as well. But when you reincarnate, it's kind of like you're ready to go, okay? You've got the body picked out and, the family and all this jazz. Regardless of your beliefs, you're ready to go. Sometimes something will happen to the host, let's say. Could be a miscarriage or something else, Let's not go too much into that. You can read between the lines. Then it's up to the likes of Lilith to take that soul and put it in the next viable option, guide them to the next viable option. She is a psychopomp in her own right. So it's giving that soul another chance, because they were ready to go and they are ready for that chance. Whereas an ordinary psychopomp that is at the end of life, like Hecate does this, I think a Grim Reaper, whatever. You've lived your life, you've done all your stuff, you're ready to do the next stage. So it's not immediately putting you into another body, But when you are about to be born, that's a liminal space, you're ready to go, you're ready to live. Someone's got to make sure you get into a body. And that's one of her roles. And Lilith is known as shared UPG as a mother, as a dark mother. She is part of the dark mother archetype. And I do see her as that. She can be very motherly. She really can. She has been to me personally. And I'll get more into that in a bit. But that is what she kind of rules over to me. So even if you just saw Lilith as the Jewish myth, which is a misconception anyways, she, her archetype is much more than that. But okay, say you just saw it as that. That's fair enough. Well, that's not all she is, even within that role. She doesn't just create demon babies and all this jazz. I mean, yeah, it's not just about that. So, arguably, the demon baby thing, you could say that that's her being a mother. But that's the way I see it, that it's not just taking the life, it's giving the life too. That's the way I see it anyways. So she's much more than that. Now, another misconception or stereotype about her is that she's all about seduction, and that's it. You go to Lilith if you want to feel good, if you want to be, a bit of glamour magic, that kind of vibe. She certainly does that, yes. And she does rule over succubus and incubus energy. A lot of the spirits that she commands are capable of that. But that's not all they are. And that's not all she is either. Now, my personal connection with her has never been like that, ever. She's been a motherly figure to me. She has been a mentor. Yeah, she's helped me feel good about myself. She's gave me a bit of energy like that, but it's never been that sort of connection. So yes, while that is valid, because that archetype, she fits into the divine prostitute archetype, that is something that comes from teachings before Abrahamic religion. That was a practice that was done within Babylonian times. If you slept with a priestess, then you were sleeping with a god or a goddess. That was a divine right, a divine thing, especially of kings and stuff. They would do that. It is this archetype. You may have heard of the spirit of Jezebel. Christians go on about that. Certain Christians do anyways. Well, Jezebel arguably was a priestess of the Canaanites and did things like that, like a queen within her own right. And yeah, look, I'm not going to get into that. But even Jezebel fits that archetype, and so does Lilith, so does other spirits too. And I think it's the divine sexuality, really. That's what it is. It's not so much about fulfilling that role as prostitute or whatever. It's more divine sexuality. And there is a time and place for such things. You know, we're not all prudes here, no, but we don't need it all the time. But Lilith is much more than that as well. You know, you can work with Lilith and not have any interaction like that with her. You don't have to be doing anything like glamour related or that kind of magic, let's say, because YouTube. So that is another misconception about her. Another misconception is that she's just either just a demon or just a goddess, because it seems to be like no in between. With Lilith, it's funny. You've got people who embrace her dark side and stuff, and those people, you know, will proudly say she's a demoness. Yes, and she is. She is a big part of the Cliffoth. Arguably, she is the Cliffoth, because the Cliffoth, if you don't know what it is, it's the tree of death, the opposite of the tree of life. It's the Sitra Ara. She does represent the dark side, and given roots in Judaism there, you know, makes sense that that would be Lilith, the dark side, given that she's kind of like the female devil, basically. That's what she is to them who think that. And yeah, the whole left-hand path, you could say that is Lilith. She has realms within the Cliffoth too, like Gamaliel, Satariel. You know, she arguably rules over Namar as well. But whatever. Even though that is all valid and so, because I've experienced it, I've walked that path, and yes, I've seen it, and yep, 100% behind that. To me, she's also a goddess, because what makes a goddess? You know, why can't a deity be both a god or a goddess and have a side that is a demon, that you could say, or even angelic, that you could say? You know, a lot of these so-called demons that we know of today were once ancient gods, Semitic gods, Canaanite gods, even Egyptian gods that have been demonized. So if you look at I don't know, Astaroth themselves are a demon, but Astaroth is based on Astarte, who was a love goddess. So is Astaroth just a demon? Or is Astaroth Astarte and just a goddess? Or are they both? You know, who's to say you can't have both? Things change, people change, and deities change. It evolves. See, you've got people who will say that Lilith is all just the left-hand path, and while that's 100% valid, because I've done that myself, I've been there too, you've got others that'll say, oh, she's a goddess, she's like this feminist icon, and while yes, she can be. There's no need to shit on people that think that either, and vice versa, because it's like this argument of people that I can't stand people who say Lilith's a feminist icon. Well, I can't stand people that say she's a demon. That's disrespectful. Look, she's all these things and more. She is beyond your labels. That's so Lilith, if you think about it though, because she is a law unto herself. She doesn't answer to anyone regardless, so she doesn't care in a way. She is her, and that should be enough. So I say this often about Hecate, about how your path is individual, and it's no different with Lilith, and it's no different with any other deity or spirit or whatever. This is your life. You have a unique mindset. You will see and witness and experience things through your point of view that others may experience something similar, but it will never be 100% the same. So when it comes to your spiritual belief, remember that, because it's that way in the physical world, so why wouldn't it be that way in the spiritual world? When it comes to Lilith, those were just some shallow takes on her that are pretty common, but she is much more than that. When it comes to Lilith, for me personally, okay, she is a face of the divine feminine as much as Hecate is. I see her as a great mother. I see her as the embodiment of all the things about being a woman that are a bit taboo. She used to say to me she's 100% female, because we're all made up of male and female, even deities. And even deities that are stereotypically female can shapeshift to male. Astarte, Astaroth is an example of that. And I suppose Lilith could if she wanted, but she has a preference for the female. That's not to say she's saying she doesn't like men, because that's another shallow thing about her. People say she doesn't like men because of the mythologies about stealing men's you-know-whats to make babies and all of this stuff. And that she wouldn't bow to Adam either. Look, it's people more than men, alright? Yes, she is for women's rights and equality, you could say. Because, let's face it, even now, it's not 100% there yet. But women are often overlooked in different societies. So she's going to be on the side of that, let's say. She's kind of on the side of the oppressed, I would say. In general, not just women. Doesn't matter what your gender is. I think that's irrelevant, really. She likes to help people step into their power. That's Lilith. Especially if you are somebody who has been bullied or trodden on, used, that kind of vibe. She will help you grow backbone, so to speak, and stand up for yourself. That is Lilith. She's like a warrior in her own way. That's the way I see her anyways. And so yes, my story with her is complex, and she's as important to me as Hecate is, and she's as complex to me as Hecate is. She's so complex. I mean, I've got books up there on her. She of the Night came out not that long ago. Google it. I forgot the author, but 2 massive tomes is one book, 2 massive. It's them 2 there. 2 massive things. All about Lilith, You can't pin her down. And that's the point, in a way. And I think also in a way she's someone who, makes sense of the chaos, so she doesn't mind a bit chaos. And I think all of this, she thinks it's funny. In a way, I really do. I think she thinks, oh, well, let them all have a little fight, grow up, kind of thing, But I just wanted to put this out there. She asked me to anyways, because I was like, what can I record? It's been a while since I spoke about her and I wanted to. So, yeah, she put this in my head. No script, just go. And there we have it. I hope this has helped. I hope this has put some things in perspective. Like I said, that book is really good. The Michael W. Ford, one. Yeah. Okay. Take care, everyone. If you want to learn more, I've got a playlist on Lilith. Go check it out. Until next time, stay safe, stay witchy. Bye.